this out.
Yeah, obviously we don't get into this to make money. If we wanted to make money, we'd probably sell some kind of
Do you see this?
database
That's
market,
Gizmo.
something like that.
This is Gizmo. She's
She's
still here. She's 19 years old and still part of the indie conversation. This video was, let's see, what does it say? Where does it say? It's from July 18th, 2011, and this was when I was talking about big versus small games, and a lot of people were talking about making flash games and kind of churning something out every month and making some relatively decent money that way. And I was getting a little nervous because I'm like, well, I don't want to just make quick flash games. Like, why can't I make a big epic game? And so there was a whole discussion that came out around that time. So, going back and watching some of that, the responses to that video was pretty humbling for one, but also I've come around to being like, oh yeah, I don't have the capacity to work on a large game because, as you said, Tim, it would just take so long to make any one game. It would be like one shot at publishing something would take me years potentially. Whereas if I made a smaller game with my capacity, like I made what I think is a small game, but it took me an entire year to get that one done. And the game I'm currently trying to work out a design for, I'm worried is going to be too big in scope for me to get done in any reasonable amount of time, unless I do something uh, like dedicate entire weekends and multiple nights where it's like, see you kids, I'm gonna work on this, and that's not in the cards right now. Uh, but I do think um, I think the ideal size kind of depends on what you can do, and I think those smaller games, that multiple release cycle thing, kind of reminds me of the class, the pottery class thing where they split the class into two, and um, one set of kids or one set of students were told that they had one final project that their whole grade depended on, and that's what they were gearing up for. All the studying, everything they did was to focus on getting that one final pot done. They had to make that pot perfect. And the other half, they had them practice making pots, and they also had the same criteria in terms of that one final one is going to be what their final grades depended on. But they were practicing making pots constantly throughout the course, and so they ended up making a better final project because they had all that practice of like, I made a pot and it was terrible, and now I know why this was terrible, so I can do it better. Um, so I imagine it's kind of like that. Once you get enough experience publishing, you know, scoping up a bit is a bit more within your capacity. Um, and I think right now I might be taking too much on with my new project, so I might need to scale it back. On a separate note, I know some people work on multiple games at once, and I have yet to do anything like that. I don't know if I can do that. I think I might have just capacity to be like, this is my one project. But some people have multiple projects that they're working on at the same time. Um, so I guess I'm wondering, like, does that change what you can do if you're working on one project and getting it finished, but you're also working on another project that might take you years because you're working on two different projects or three or four? Does that change the economics there in terms of what's a small game versus not?